7 deceased hostages have been released from Hamas custody and have been identified, but the bodies of 21 people, including 2 American citizens, are still in Hamas hands. And President Trump is demanding the terror group release them and permanently disarm. The president writing on Truth Social, all 20 hostages are back and feeling as good as can be expected. A big burden has been lifted, but the job is not done. The dead have not been returned as promised. Phase 2 begins right now. Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus is a former IDF spokesperson and now a senior fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, and he joins me now. Lieutenant Colonel, thank you so much for being here. We understand that you're standing in front of Kibbutz Nir Oz, which is the site of such devastation and destruction at the hands of Hamas on October 7th. And because Hamas has not released all of the bodies yet, yesterday Israel reduced the amount of aid flowing into Gaza and decided not to reopen the Rafah border crossing. So with that in mind, do you believe that this ceasefire will hold?
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having me on. Just following on the previous item, as an Israeli civilian, I would strongly endorse that effort by Speaker Johnson on behalf of millions of Israelis, ordinary people. They definitely believe that President Trump should be rewarded that prize and many others, because what we enjoyed 2 days ago was getting our brothers and sisters back. That was a tremendous achievement, and we're now in a ceasefire. That would not have happened without President Trump and his team. We understand that, we recognize it, and I hope that the truth and justice will be served and President Trump will be awarded that. Now to the situation on the ground, I think we are at the first test of how strong the metal is in terms of Israel and the U.S. and Hamas is testing the waters here. They're trying to not to release all the bodies of the hostages. Israel so far has responded very softly, and Israel threatened not to open Rafah, but actually the latest news are that Israel is going to open the Rafah gate. I think that's under American guidance and pressure. Because I don't think that Israel wants to really disrupt the ceasefire quite yet. What Hamas is doing is playing for time. And I think that President Trump's tweet saying that, I'm not going to tolerate any games is exactly the type of leadership that is needed, because if Hamas, if they're given an inch, they will take the whole yard and they will drag out this stage, and they will try to make an inevitable situation where they are de facto rulers on the ground. And that cannot be allowed to happen. If we want peace and if we want something positive here for the future, then Hamas needs to be disarmed and control over the Gaza Strip needs to be taken out of the hands of Hamas. By the way, for the better interest of Palestinians as well.
And on that front, the Times of Israel is reporting that since the ceasefire took effect, Hamas gunmen have actually tightened their grip over Gaza and have killed at least 33 Palestinians who are accused of collaborating with Israel. And some of these videos that have been released, these are public executions that we're talking about. This doesn't appear to be the behavior of a group of people who are planning to relinquish power and authority over the Strip.
You are 100% correct. And what Hamas is doing is settling scores. It isn't against people that have cooperated with Israel. It's against various critics in Gaza. It's against people who are trying to rise up against Hamas's oppression. These are Palestinian Muslims. Yes, nothing Jewish here, and no Mossad agent are being executed, just ordinary Palestinians from rival factions and rival clans. And Hamas is doing what they do best. They are thugs, and they're executing people in town squares in broad daylight, in typical Hamas fashion. Now, I don't know if you've seen it on other news networks. I have not seen this reported in any significant way across most of mainstream media. And I wonder why. Isn't it news when 35 and more Palestinians are executed in cold blood? Or is it not news because it's not Israel's doing? But the fact is that Hamas is not looking like an organization that is ready to disarm, as they have committed to President Trump, and they're not looking as if they're going to hand over peacefully the control over the Gaza Strip. That spells trouble for the continuation of this deal. I hope that Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey, the main three sponsors of Hamas, will be told by whoever needs to tell them that the time for games and the time for this type of behavior is long gone. Hamas has lost and they must concede. I hope that will happen for the interest of everybody.
Well, in the short time we have remaining, a big question for you, because these Hamas terror tunnels are another major issue, and the eradication of them is part of the 20-point plan. Logistically, though, Lieutenant Colonel, how do you do that?
It'll take a long time, lots of effort, lots of explosives, and lots of soldiers that do it. This is not something that is going to be done in a short time. Imagine if a contractor was given the assignment of demolishing the New York City metro or subway system. That's the scope of what we're talking about here. These are hundreds of miles of tunnels, and it's going to take time. I hope that it'll be done in the most peaceful and benign way without involving any other casualties. But I fear that it will include fighting. If Hamas is disarmed, it can be done in a peaceful way. If not, then it'll have to be done in a different way, which I hope that we can prevent.
Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much and good morning.
You're very welcome.